Nation. We are the Monarchists. We are recapping ECU and previewing Virginia Tech today. After a 20-14 defeat at SB Ballard Stadium, um, I don't know where we want to start with this, but maybe we can start with Friday and start with something optimistic and happy and promote next Friday. What do you think, guys?
I think that's a great place to start, Mike.
So we had our first ever pep rally at Afterglow on Friday. We had live music, a great food truck called Moontide. The live music was by J.P. Lewis, who is an ODU alum, fantastic musician. Really enjoyed his. Did a lot of country covers and some alternative songs. He was pretty cool, but turnout was pretty good. Hoping we can rebuild that a little bit, keep building on that for next week. But need to shout out some people that showed up. The Barlev family, it was great meeting them and get to talk some football with them. Ben Hennikel was there. Thanks for showing up. And then obviously the Dingus family, second time they've been shout out this year on the show, but they showed up in full force. Great seeing them. I'm hoping this can continue to build because we don't have a congregation point for Monarch fans on Friday nights on football weekends. If you go to a town like Blacksburg or Knoxville, there's somewhere where you can go to hang out with other fans and know other fans will be there. We don't have that, so this is what we're trying to do here with that.
It was a lot of fun on Friday night. They've got a lot of good beers over there at Afterglow. It's pretty just chill environment. There's nothing too crazy going on. It was nice that we were able to get the ODU men's soccer game up on the screen so we could watch that and hang out there. But yeah, that could definitely be built into something awesome. They have great outdoor space in the back. Aside from the trains going by every little bit, it's fairly quiet and chill.
Yeah, it really was a great time. We had a little trivia question, trivia challenge that we got a couple folks up on the stage. That was fun. And just, meeting a number of fans that were out there. Also want to give a big shout out to Harry McBrien for coming out and Jude Brenya. The not too distant future, we'll put out a little bit of promo stuff so you guys who weren't able to come to the event on Friday kind of see a little bit of what that might look like. But we're hoping everybody comes out Friday for the one before the Virginia Tech game. And we're hoping to have a little surprise guest there if you happen to show up.
Yeah, we got confirmation this weekend that Hudson 2 and Mutts with Admission will be there on Friday. Excited to see them, and should be a lot of fun. Hopefully we can continue to build this into something great for all ODU fans. And if you're a Hokie, come hang, grab some beers. It's a good time to talk football and enjoy each other's company. So come on out.
Yeah, I had to wear my Hudson shirt today because I got to meet Hudson 2 going into the football stadium yesterday, which was the highlight of the day, I think, in my opinion. That's when I was the happiest at SB Ballard, but went downhill pretty quickly from there.
One last note before we move on to talk about yesterday was if you come out to Afterglow just won an award for one of best beer. Was it what was that, Mike?
So yesterday there was a 757 Battle of the Beers in Virginia Beach. All the local breweries took part in it, and they won the People's Choice Award, which I think is probably the best award to win, because that means everyone that was there that voted thought they had the best beer, instead of like a handful of judges voting on it. It was all the people that attended it. So they got some good stuff going on there. They got seltzers that people were raving about, adult slushies. I haven't had either of those yet, but the beer is good. I can tell you that. All right, so let's talk about yesterday. Tailgate was good. We lucked out on the weather, I think. Pretty nice considering how gross the morning was. Student section was phenomenal. That was the best student section we've had in a very long time. Announced sellout, even though you could see some seats throughout the game, but pretty good crowd overall.
Yeah, and shout out to the Alston family, Miles Alston's crew. I think they end up with like 8 or 9 people that came to the game. They stopped by the tailgate. Good to see them again. Saw them a little bit in South Carolina too. Yeah, I mean, like the vibes pregame were really good. Like blue lot was packed, black and silver lots were packed. There were a lot of people around. Students absolutely showed up for this first game, and I understand they've claimed all the tickets for Virginia Tech as well. So hopefully they come back for this next game. But man, really, just from the jump, it looked like same team, different year of the defense playing really well, keeping us in the game, and the offense just completely inept on almost every possession that we had yesterday. And it was painful on my eyeballs to watch both of the offenses operate yesterday. They're both pretty bad. But I saw the same things that we talked about we needed to address and fix over the offseason continue to be a problem for this team in week 2.
Yeah, I need to offer an apology. Preseason, I was excited about this offense because we saw it in scrimmages, and it works in the scrimmages against this defense. But we still haven't seen that offense we saw in the scrimmages in a game yet. I'm not sure what we can share now because we've already had games, so I don't think there's anything private we can't share. But Dom Dutton was a vital part of those scrimmages, taking a lot of slants and short passes, and same thing with Page and Vines. And we're just not seeing that, even though our offensive line could use that quick hitting offense to be more successful. And I don't understand it. I don't understand.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, Mike. I mean, that's the last few weeks that we've talked about what are the things that this team needs to do to be successful. We have continuously harped on more of the short and the intermediate passing game, being able to get things going quickly out in front of Grant, things that are easy to see, guys coming across, and for whatever reason, we're not seeing that. I, I don't know why, but something's got to change. We've got to on offense. We got to do more. We've got to sustain some drives. We have got to capitalize on what the defense is doing. I mean, we'll talk about it more in a bit, but the defense came up with turnovers again this week, and we did next to nothing with them. And we have to get better at that.
So our buddy Justice over at G5 Hive, I was talking to him earlier today, and he shared a stat with me that I thought was interesting. He shared the snap counts of Dom Dutton and Kelby Williams from yesterday. Dom had 24 snaps, which is better than he had in the first game, but I still don't know why it's not more. And then Kelby had 2, and one of them is the biggest play of the game for the offense. I don't know. Logically, I'm lost.
Just the whole ecosystem of the offense is out of whack. Like there are things we could do to help the offensive line. There's things the offensive line could do to help the routes. So like the whole ecosystem, it's like dumping bleach in a fish tank. Like it's just killing everything because nothing is chemically right. So we saw from ECU yesterday when they rushed 3, we had no problem handling that pass rush. All of these routes going downfield were able to develop and get set up, and we were able to move the ball down the field with a 3-man rush. But when it got to 4, 5, and definitely 6, like there was just not enough time to let those routes go and develop downfield, and there were no short options. It's just frustrating to watch that unfold, especially when East Carolina is very clearly showing what they're doing on defense. Like in the first half, they were attacking the right side of the line, especially at the right guard position, trying to go in there. Second half of the game, you could see him line up 3 down linemen to the left of the center to go attack the left side. And the way you slow that blitz down and get them to stop blitzing as much and make them pay for it is to run those quick slants right to the area that the defense has vacated with their blitz. And I was kind of in the catbird seat in the end zone, and I can see all these things develop. And it's like so obvious that their linebackers are not respecting any pass over the middle. They're giving you the middle of the field, and we are not running any routes to go and take it because those long developing downfield routes, when Grant's getting hit in less than 2 seconds or being flushed from the pocket, like he can't look downfield to go throw those. So like the route tree shortening up and giving some short options will help the offensive line block better and discourage the defense from blitzing. So, like, I'm going to start with the offensive line, but there are things we could do to make us smarter and put our guys in a better position to win. And we are not putting them in that position to win. And it's frustrating to watch that game after game of just not doing the right thing to help our team win.
All right. So questions I'm going to ask to you guys. We know, and we've talked about this offense and the receivers having to make choices on what they're going to do with their routes. Now, how much choice do they really have? Is it a receiver not making the choice to break off and doing one of these, or is it coaching call that we're not calling those sorts of things? I mean, it's kind of got to be one or the other, right?
Yeah. I mean, some of our routes in our plays are choice routes. Others are not. Like, they're set to be a hitch or a slant or whatever it may be, screen, all those things. So there are some choices, mainly on like the outside receivers. But for your slot guys, like, they pretty much have established routes, or it's something playing off of what happens to the other receiver. Like, there's not a lot of choice, but you can easily hot route or have a play call where, hey, if you look up and the two linebackers are in between the defensive tackles, you should probably run to where they're supposed to be and be sitting there in a half a second for Grant. Because that's a one-step bang right over the middle. And especially with someone like Dom Dutton, who's got that crazy speed, you get him in space with the ball in the middle of the field, that's chunk play. That's 20, 30 yards. And even though we saw it, like, it was very obvious to see that was that vacated space, we didn't go to it except for one time. And it was on the second drive of the game. It was a 3rd and short. And we were at the student section into the field. Isaiah Page ran a quick 5-yard slant, easy, quick completion. He took it about 7, 8 yards up the field, first down. And I didn't see us go back to that again. Like, everything else was deep cross.
Yeah, and this is a reminder for any cardiologists in the area. If you are looking for an advertising opportunity, hit us up or hit ODU Football up. Another one-score game. 2 already this season in 2 games, 11 last year. And now we have, a 6-8 record in those games? Is that right?
Yeah, I think you're correct. No, it's 6. Was it 13 games? I think we're 6-7. Yeah. That's the opportunity. Go find an ODU fan and refer them to your local cardiologist, because these games are a killer on the ticker.
All right, but Aaron, what were you going to say?
I was gonna pose another question to you guys. So we talked about how important and how this offense is predicated on running the ball. So yesterday we really struggled to do that. If you take out Grant's runs and yardage lost from various things, we averaged less than 3 yards a rush, 2.8 yards a rush. And that's not accustomed to what we're seeing. What did you guys take away from the game, and kind of what you saw there and what we need to do to be more effective there?
I think we need to give some credit to ECU's front four. They played outstanding yesterday. They were winning the battle in the trenches often, but we weren't able to get to the outside at all. We were running A gap a lot and B gap a lot, but we weren't getting to that C or outside the tackles at all, really. I don't know. It was tough sledding for our running backs yesterday. That they were filling holes and making plays. I got to give credit to ECU's defense there. They did their job in the run game.
Yeah, ECU definitely had a great approach. They were also in those obvious kind of running downs where we would have 4 guys split out really wide. They were fine and content to keep 6 in the box. So then it just becomes a numbers game, right? You got 5 offensive linemen, you got a running back and a quarterback. If they're got 6 sitting there waiting for you, you're not going to get much. I am surprised we didn't bounce it outside. Like, that's a really good call, Mike, because the one big run that East Carolina had, or both their touchdown runs actually, were inside runs that they bounced outside off the tackle and took for big gains because they had sucked the linebackers in. So, yeah, there was just no room to get outside. Like, we were getting beat up the middle, we were getting beat on the outside. Like, it's just tough. They did a lot of really great stunting in East Carolina, especially in that second half. I think it was second to last drive. Grant got sacked twice in a row. They did an incredible stunt on the left side that Aaron Young went to go fill the gap and block like he's supposed to. And at the last second, the defender was no longer there. So, yeah, definitely credit to ECU's front four. But we got to be smarter in our running calls when we see 6 in the box.
All right. Well, I want to talk about this defense because, again, they turned out a fantastic effort for us and gave us a chance to win a game. And I'm still not used to it because I'm still used to the Bobby years where no DU was real, very real. And being able to watch this defense where there's a chance for us to make plays throughout has been a lot of fun to watch. The blitzing yesterday, when done, was just a beautiful thing to see. And then obviously we're making plays in the secondary. 4 interceptions yesterday, 2 by Jerron Manning, which, selfish plug here, buy his shirt, the kid can play. He's a baller. All the money goes back to him.
Jerron is a stud, man. Like, you could tell on film against South Carolina, and it showed in the stat sheet this week. Also, shout out to him for making a really, really smart play at the end of the first half. I tweeted it out and put it out there with like, hey, go buy a shirt of he got dinged up on that last pass completion and he was hurt, but he just stood up, stood on one leg, stayed as still as possible, and made sure that East Carolina did whatever clown show that was, where they had half their field goal unit and half their offense, and they snapped it to an offensive lineman who I think spiked it, but it looked like a fumble, whatever that was. But because Jerron was smart enough to get up and not cause an injury timeout, that kept 3 points off the board. So in addition to every other thing that he did that was awesome on Saturday, he made a really smart play to keep points off the board.
Yeah, and I want to go ahead, Mike.
Justice from G5 Hive, a second shout out for him. He sent me some defensive PFF numbers. Looking at the defensive grades for coverage, pass coverage, Jerron is 89.4. That is very, 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 very good for a safety. Overall defense, he's an 85.8. Both are the highest on the team. The guy is just phenomenal. And I'm happy he's here. We got to enjoy him while we got him, because with this portal being the way it is, there's going to be a lot of teams offering him big bags this offseason.
Yeah, you got to keep him under lock and key. I think maybe we should stop talking about it on the podcast so no one realizes it. But yeah, he's a fun one to watch, and he got a little more playing time in the second half yesterday. Patrick Smith-Young, I'm guessing, went down with an injury at some point early in the second half, so he got more reps in pass protection. Made a huge interception when ECU was driving to keep them from getting a touchdown that would have put the game away. At least gave us a chance to have some drives to go win the game at the end. But just read that route, jumped underneath it, made a great interception in the end zone. Just, we have some dudes in the secondary this year. Like Patrick Smith-Young is really good. Jerron's really good. Like Reason's really good. Like, we have some dogs in that secondary. I think we have great linebacking core, like even without Jason Henderson being in there. Like, this defense, when unleashed properly and they can be aggressive, they are dangerous. Just don't put them in drop 8, because that didn't go so well yesterday.
Yeah, that's the second game in a row where Patrick Smith-Young has had huge impactful plays. And you just mentioned that linebacking core. So we've got to shout out Koa. He came up with 18 total tackles yesterday. So that's his all-time mark so far. He played really well there. The ladies in our section just kept talking about how much they liked his hair. So if that's why they want to cheer for him, that's cool. We'll cheer for the tackles. But what a phenomenal day for him. He was in the post-game presser with Aaron Young. You can see how much that loss hurt to those guys, but they're really motivated for next week's game, and they had a really good attitude about it. But yeah, great game by or good game by the defense. We left some stuff on the table, but man, are they playing so hard.
There's a couple names I'd like to add to our list of like guys we should shout out. Marcus Knight, he's been playing well. Mario Easterly has been playing very good defense for us. And then Jamez Drummer, who we haven't seen much of, had a very good game yesterday, and so did Jeremy Mack Jr., the Colorado transfer. Both were impactful yesterday, and it was great to see. We're showing off our depth each game on the defensive side of the ball, and it's really going to pay dividends the longer the season goes, if we can figure out the offensive side.
Yeah, I'll put Will Jones the second on there as well. He had an interception and looked really good. I mean, it's hard to track because there are a lot of new guys and don't quite know the number with the name yet. But it's also because we've been rotating so many guys in on defense, and there has not been a drop off in the quality. And like that's amazing. We're not seeing that on the offensive side, but on the defensive side, we are. Like they've built that depth. They've got the dudes. Just unleash them. Like I think we only stopped them once on third down when we dropped 8 in coverage, and they got like 8 or 9 yards, and it was like third and 15. But when we blitzed on third down, man, we got pressure, and that caused a lot of those interceptions. Almost all those interceptions, you can go back and look, and there's someone right in his face or bring him to the ground as he's throwing it. Like that is picture perfect defensive pressure, good coverage, leading to turnovers. Like 4 interceptions yesterday, and we didn't win the game.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think 4 interceptions is the most we've had since 2009, our first season in football.
That's probably right. We have not been a big turnover team historically.
Yeah, definitely tied for most. I can't remember what year it was, but
it's at the bottom of Harry's article. It's at the bottom of Harry's article. They had a bunch of notes in there that were pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah. And Aaron, you were talking about the post-game press conference. I watched it yesterday, and Coach Ronnie made a comment about how it seems like the media and the fans are pretty tired of hearing about the 1-0 mentality. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I just think we're tired of hearing the 1-0 mentality and not translating to 1-0 on game day. I think that's where the frustration is on that. And I'm hoping that that's not creating a culture of I went 1-0, not the team went 1-0. But no one. I think the mentality is right. We need to translate to 1-0 on game day.
Yeah, a couple other things that came out of that post-game presser. Go ahead, Mike.
I got to correct my stat that I just shared. We had 3 interceptions in the first half. That's the most in a half since the second half against Presbyterian in October of 2009. So, my mistake there.
I'm pretty sure Presbyterian was running the triple option then. So that's actually even more impressive. We got 3 picks in a game. They probably only threw it 6 times.
All right, Aaron. All right. Sorry.
So, no, that's okay. All right. So a couple other things that got talked about in the post-game presser yesterday and asked. And one of them we probably should talk about. The other one I'll mention, and I think we can put to bed. The first one was Jason Henderson's health. So, of course, we know Ricky doesn't talk injuries. Ricky said, we'll continue to evaluate. Based upon what we've seen and kind of what makes sense, Jason's still rehabbing from that injury. He came back and played in the first game. I know myself, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him to the Sun Belt. Who knows what it's going to be? I mean, Ricky does not talk about that stuff, but it is a day-to-day evaluation thing. So for all the people that are reaching out to us, we don't know. That's what the coaching staff is, but I would expect that we probably don't see him for a couple games. I don't know what y'all think.
Yeah, and you also have to play the long game too. Like we're 0-2 at this point. We're not making the college football playoffs. Like we've missed our opportunity for that. So like what's next on our goal list? And that's win the Sun Belt East, go to the Sun Belt Championship game, win the Sun Belt. So kind of what you have to do for Virginia Tech and the bye week in Bowling Green is how do you best set the team up to go win those 8 Sun Belt games? Because those are going to be tough. Like Sun Belt's kind of all over the place. I don't know what kind of crack everyone was smoking this weekend. There were some really weird scores, but that's kind of has to be the focus. So you've got this gift of a 2 bye week season. You've got one coming up here after you've played 2 power teams and a really good East Carolina team. You're beaten up. You've got injuries all over the place. I mean, Skylar Grant threw on an 83 jersey and played tight end in some of our power sets yesterday. That's about a 300-pound tight end. Just because Butler is hurt. DJ is obviously hurt and still out. and we only really have one other tight end on the roster to play. So yeah, you got to just start conserving and thinking of what are you going to do in the Sun Belt. The biggest injury I think from yesterday happened right at the end of the game with Grant Wilson. He could not move that wrist or hand or something. It went into the ground. He got hit by a face mask. He couldn't receive the snap. That will be interesting to watch and seeing if he's not able to go Saturday, who we plug and play at quarterback. Congratulations. Your first game is going to be against Virginia Tech and their defense.
Before we talk about what we might think might happen there, the other thing with regards to Jason is obviously the coaching staff has Jason's best interest at heart. Jason is the dude who's going to get on the field. I mean, he's going to have his helmet. He's going to run on the field if he can. So Justin Walker, that training staff, the coaching staff, they want to make sure that he is good to go, and they don't want to do anything to jeopardize the kid's long-term future, because he's put everything into being a Monarch, and going to make sure that he's good when he comes back. Before we talk about the quarterback position, the other thing that was asked about was the penalties. Penalties were, man, they hurt. They always hurt. But yesterday, we got them at the worst possible times, and they were really impactful in the game. Let's talk about that for a couple minutes.
The ones I want to talk about the most were that punt return touchdown by Isaiah Page that got called back. I went back and watched that. Those were legitimate flags, but they really had no impact on the play. They didn't need to hold there. They didn't need to block in the back. He was going for that touchdown without the holds and without that block in the back. But I wish we had a Sun Belt ref crew yesterday, because I'm not sure they called those flags at all, because they had a little impact on the play at all. And we know the Sun Belt refs like to let them play, and if it's not egregious, they're likely not going to call it. So I think we missed the Sun Belt ref crew yesterday, because I don't know. I think we need to – I would love it if college football went to proximity rules for these plays. If there's a hold on the other side of the field that has zero impact on the guy busting through, who cares?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like they would not have changed the outcome of the play, but some of these were so egregious and right in front of an official that they really didn't have a choice. I don't think, especially on the punt return, like that was right in front of me, and we actually had two holds, both holding the Gunners after Isaiah Page had gotten past them and down the field. And then we had the block in the back, but it was clear, like, just not smart decisions. Like you just let the guys go. Like you don't have to touch them anymore. Like plays over, go by. A lot of the holds on the offensive line were just simply because they were getting beat. They were getting beat bad, and they were no longer competitive in the play, and they grabbed. And it stinks because it brought back some big plays. Like Grant had a really great run on the drive where we had the chance to take the lead. They got called back. Anytime I felt like we finally got some momentum to go fast and we had the defense trapped on the field and gassed, we went a little too fast and forgot things like snapping the ball and getting set and not being in the wrong formations. Just a lot of mental mistakes on those, and then how you respond to getting beat, it costing the team quite a bit. Like that was painful on a lot of those.
When was the last time we had that many penalties in a game? It's one of our sloppiest games we've had in years.
I'm thinking the Bobby Wilder era, but I don't know. I haven't looked it up.
Had to be one of those when we were just giving a lot of PIs in the secondary, but would have been the same era post Heineke.
Yeah. I want to note that we really do miss Devin Roche right now. It would have been nice to have his change of game speed yesterday, and we talked about it already. Getting out to the outside with his speed, he can do that. I hope he can come back soon, because we need that change of pace guy right now.
Roche running behind Jalen Butler is something that I wish we would have been able to see on Saturday. It stinks that they're hurt, and I know they're trying to get back. They're doing everything they can. The training staff doing everything they can. It's just one of those things that you gotta wait until it heals, unfortunately.
And Mike, we got a call or two. One's pretty good. Do we want to go go ahead and play it and talk about it since it refers to this game before moving on to Virginia Tech?
Sure. Let's unveil fan calls for the first time in 2024.
All right.
Aaron, what do we got?
Hey fellas, Garrick here. First off, great to see everybody out last night and during the day. Tailgate was great. Glad you guys can make it on over to us as well. Into the game, I assume you guys are going to talk about this a lot, but stagnant offense, not capitalizing on turnovers. If this offense can't have long sustained drives, keeping our defense off the field, we got to capitalize on those turnovers if we're going to do anything. It's really concerning that everything we heard in the offseason, a better offensive line. Look, if this is going to be the situation with Grant, we got to start moving the pocket. If there's a protection issue, got to move the pocket and get the ball out that way. Also, the run game, just 2 yards, 3 yards. Got to find something going better there. Defense, not good, but great. Not great, but good. But kept us in the game per usual. Again, got to capitalize on the turnovers they're creating. I've never seen us, though, get slashed so bad up front, keeping people just running all over us. Tech is going to exploit that. Kyron Drones might not be the best passer in the world, but that run game they have is going to exploit what we got, unfortunately, on film for them. Another thing I haven't seen in a while is just so many penalties and too many costly penalties. Haven't gone back and looked at the film yet, but I would be curious to know if that was a true holding call on the Isaiah Page return. Again, too many penalties. I will say, highlight the student section, probably the best positive of the whole entire game. They stayed the whole entire game. After halftime, seeing them still be there was great. So kudos to them. But there's got to be a better product on the field so we can continue to have them stay at games. So hopefully things can get turned around. Hopefully Jason can play next week. But a lot of things. Got to go back to the drawing board. Got to recover from this and move forward. Rain on. Hey, fellas. Garrick here.
Rain on, Garrick. Thanks for calling. A lot of good points. It was great seeing you yesterday. So thanks for having us at your tailgate for a moment. Aaron, Gary, you want to add anything to this call?
I think Pike had the fire truck in Blue Lot, so that was pretty fun to see over there. Yeah, I mean, he's right about the offense. Like we've got to start adjusting what we're trying to do offensively for the personnel that we have and the things that we can do. Otherwise, we're just going to continue to ram our head against the wall. Unfortunately, there was a hold for Isaiah Page's return. There were two of them, but yeah, I mean, he's dead on with the offense. Like, if we don't fix that, like, it's not going to matter. And this defense will get worn down no matter how deep they are by like game 7 and 8. And that's really bad from the end of the year.
We did have another call from Brian. We're not going to play that, but he had a question. So he had a lot of weird occurrences with ECU fans asking them when we were going to be mean to them. They assumed we were going to be mean to them. And Brian, there was no trash talk to lead up to that. They are just thinking you're going to treat them like ECU fans treat people. That's it. They see how their fellow fans treat other visiting fans, and they assume that's going to happen to them when they're on the road too. So, all right. We're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be right back.
This episode of the Monarchist Podcast is brought to you by the Pride of ODU Collective. Their mission is to elevate the experience of student athletes through name, image, and likeness, while also elevating the fan experience. If you or your business are interested in getting involved, you can reach out to us directly or go over to theprideofodu.com. That is theprideofodu.com. Thank you for listening, and go Monarchs.
All right. So I think it's time to move on to Mission 3-0 at home against Virginia Tech. Gary, your spouse is a Hokie. You probably know more about them than either of us. So give us the breakdown of what you've seen so far from this Hokie team.
Yeah, a bit of an update there. The wife will not be sitting with me for this ODU Virginia Tech game because anytime we've been together in the games in Norfolk, ODU's won. So I think she's trying to change up the landscape there. But
You want to come over to my section, Gary?
oh yeah, I'll be.
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
do
find
it.
a spot.
Oh yeah,
You've been exiled.
We'll squeeze in there. Yeah, so Virginia Tech, they're 1-1. They lost their opener to Vandy. They beat Marshall on Saturday. I know everyone wants to kind of jump on the Vandy sucks. How'd you lose to him train? Like, I wouldn't do that too much in this situation. Vanderbilt hired their offensive coordinator from New Mexico State, and they ran this really funky option, and they brought with them Diego Pavia, who was their quarterback. So Tech got hit with an offense that really had never been on film before, and that's what put them in the hole early. They battled back in the second half. So far, they've been a second half team offensively. They seem to make some good adjustments at halftime, rack up some points, and go. Offensively, it's going to look very similar to what South Carolina ran. Like, it's a lot of power option running, short passes, screen passes, looking for like leverage and opening and things like that. Jeroens is a great athlete. He's yet to show a lot of accuracy with his passing, but he has shown it in bursts, and he's made some big plays for them. When they played Marshall, they basically just went ground and pound. Like, Bashal Tutin had 22 carries, and I forgot how many yards. It was well over 100 yards. It was 125, and he had a touchdown. So they really just kind of wore Marshall down. They shortened the game, limited number of possessions. That was kind of their path to victory there. Marshall, I don't know what they're doing on offense, so it's hard to figure out, like, is Virginia Tech's defense actually just really good, or did they play, Vandy, who kind of carved them up with the triple option, and then Marshall, who's trying to do an air raid for some reason, and that just didn't work out. So I think it's going to be a similar story going into South Carolina, right? Like, our offense is going to struggle against their defense. I think they struggle against any defense right now, but I think that's your big focal point. But the offense of Virginia Tech runs actually leans itself to our strengths defensively and like run support, filling gaps, and like being in a lot of single coverage situations to stop the run. So I feel like this is going to be like a low scoring game again, like just that knockdown, drag out 17-13 thing that we've seen before. Playing Virginia Tech recently, especially like the last game we had against them.
It looks like the line opened up at 13.5, 14, somewhere around there. My initial thought is, with our defense the way they're playing, that seems like a big number, especially at home.
Well, I mean, we do have Hudson, and that was significant last time. And we still have the same damn elevators, and that was significant last time. Ollie Jennings is still playing. He's in a different uniform. But, I mean, we got all these one-score games. What is it now? How many, Mike? 13 in a row?
13 in the last 2 years. The only game was that Liberty one.
So until the trend changes, I mean, you guys are bettors, right? So do you go against the trend, or do you wait until that thing changes to adjust? I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's close.
Well, the betting person in me is going to wait to see if it moves towards Virginia Tech some more, so I can get a better number maybe. If we can get like a 16, I'll be very happy as a bettor. But as a fan, it still seems like a big number because we are a one-score team right now. Our defense is playing good enough to keep us in every game, and I don't see any reason that changes this week.
Yeah, well, you see that line. I mean, what would make that line change significantly? News comes out about Grant.
Could have that, but I also think there are a lot of people willing to throw money to back Virginia Tech under 2 touchdowns. So if you're a gambler that wants to bet Tech this weekend, you have already bet them or you're about to get that 13.5. I will tell you, Vegas is struggling with ODU and East Carolina in their advanced analytics to figure out what line should be, because last week when we recorded, ODU was a 3-point favorite. By the time the episode got released, they were a 3-point dog, and it ended up coming back to ODU being about a 1.5-point favorite at kick. That's a massive swing in college football in this day and age when there's so much analytics, so many people betting and paying attention to that stuff. I'm going to be shocked if this thing doesn't get closer to 17 by kickoff. Like, I know one score in our defense, but you look at our offense and you say eventually that dam's going to break for the defense in a big way. Like, we had to grind out to get the one short touchdown, and we had the one kind of busted coverage that Kelby got for the touchdown. Outside of that, the offense is pretty putrid. So I think, do you think that ODU is going to fix their offense? That's the question that makes your bet on either side of that.
we already know how to fix it, and they know how to fix it. It's just more about execution and actually doing it now. So it's definitely a wait and see position for me on the offense. Definitely frustrating because we've seen it work and we know it can work, and it's just not there right now.
Yeah, but we got to fix it like now, now. Like this is not an off-season fix. Like you got to fix your offense to fit the personnel you have from now to the end of the season, and you need to get it worked out so that way, that first game at Coastal Carolina and the next game at Georgia State, 2 winnable road games for us. We need those games because we talked about it in the first show that we did. Like there's a pathway where there's a big 0 in front of our win column for quite a while, and we don't beat Tech, we don't beat Bowling Green, Coastal beats us, and then we lay an egg at Georgia State, and boom, you're done. Like, see ya.
Did either of you guys get a chance to watch the Marshall Tech game?
I watched a little bit of it on my phone, but that was it.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch. I was curious to see how Marshall did rushing the ball, and I mean, without watching the game, I don't really know what the context of the numbers are. I mean, on paper, they averaged 5.7 yards per rush. They had AJ Turner. I have not seen the kid play, so I don't know what kind of runner he is.
He busted one big run for like 70 yards, and that was the majority of their rushing offense.
Well, his other 5 yards, 5 for 40, so that's 8 yards a rush there too. So, I mean, he was effective every time he carried the ball.
Yeah.
The other guys, were 3 yards, 2 yards.
Just don't share that with Marshall because they're trying to run an air raid offense. That's why they threw it 36 times despite having that kind of success on the ground. So Marshall, for until the end of the season, don't fix what's clearly the problem there.
I will add the PFF showed that yesterday's game was better pass blocking. We graded out better on the pass than we did on the run.
Better than the run. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a big change from last year. We were a much better run blocking unit than we were pass blocking. Hopefully that was just an anomaly, and ECU's front four were just that good. I've heard a lot of good things about them, but I don't know. Only time will tell.
Well, they've survived 10 turnovers in 2 games, and they've won both. So something's up with the defense.
Yeah, we talked about that. Kind of reminds me of that old Danny Green post-game interview. We knew who they are, who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook. I don't know if I just butchered that, but
you got it pretty good.
Pretty much what happened.
2 weeks in a row, we've done the same thing.
They did their damnedest to let us win that game. Like that offense sometimes was just like, here you go, throw it downfield, doing dumb stuff. But we had the fumble on the kickoff return was a kick in the nuts. It was tough with the wind at your back and the ball getting hung up there, but maybe it's because I played baseball. Like I kind of saw that was going short there.
Well, yeah, the wind was blowing the same way all game, so when it went up and it was like the ball's running away from him. He's trying to get it, but as you get closer, it's just like getting further and further until you're at that awkward point where you're trying to field baseball would have kind of been a short hop. You don't want to get short hopped. You're either going to take it and let it develop, or you got to get there. And it was kind of that weird in between. And obviously they put the ball on the ground a lot, and the ball just bounced the right way, and they were able to recover their fumbles. When we had, when things went wrong for us like that, we weren't quite so fortunate. It was just one of those nights.
One of those fumbles was like, it was so weird because it came from the other side of the body, and like every defender is looking at the person who was the ball carrier, and the ball's sitting right behind him because would normally be looking there. But yeah, couldn't get those bounces. You talking about the wind in the stadium? All right, we got to talk about like the whole stadium experience on Saturday because I don't know what in the world was going on, but when those clouds moved in and the wind picked up, like obviously the field goal net got stuck on the goalpost, and that's going to happen with the crazy win. They were kicking the extra point, whatever. It was funny, and the student section going nuts, and they finally got it off there at halftime was great. But we got a DJ and we got graphics on the board after we convert a first down, telling the crowd to get loud and screaming and going nuts. Like, I know we've only had football since 2009, but has anyone actually watched a football game and understand, like, when we're on offense, that's not the time for the crowd to get loud and for there to be the decibel meter and the DJ screaming while we're trying to hustle after a first down to go run our tempo. And we can't even understand what the play call is because there's so much noise in the stadium. And then we end up just wasting a first down because absolutely no one knew what the play call was. Like, we got to get a little bit smarter and not, I mean, that's like embarrassing as a football fan to have your home soundboard and stuff do that. Like, you can chalk up to the first game if you want, but we got to do a little bit better than that and show that, you know, we have some sense about us with football.
It's situational awareness. Mike knows exactly how I feel with regards to some of the DJ inspired ODU chants based upon basketball games. Like, it's almost like you need to hire a former cheerleader who understands game flow and understands when you're supposed to do things. Like, if you're going to start, let's just say you're going to start an ODU chant or a defense chant or whatever it may be that you're trying to get the crowd involved. It's not only do it at the right point in the game, but you also want to do it at the right time. So, like, if the play clock hasn't even started yet, don't start the freaking stupid chant because the whole crowd is too tired to continue the chant by the time there's 15 left on the clock, and then everybody shuts up, and it's just dumb. We do have to get better at that. I mean,
it's just
the cherry
the cherry on top of a shit Sunday, Saturday. Like, that's all it was. Like, we at least get the graphics. I mean, come on. And
I will say, so there's a control center in the end zone building, right? But then there's another one in the Jim Jarrett administration building. And I feel like if we could have all the control centers in one place for the game day operation and ESPN Plus, we'd probably be better off for it. I don't know.
Yeah, rewatching the stream, I understand why there were fans complaining about the camera quality. Like, there were issues. And again, it's the first home game, and I'm sure they got new people doing a bunch of stuff, and it'll be better against Tech. But, like, the graphic thing, like, somebody had to approve for that to go up on the screen when we were on offense, and that killed the drive because no one knew what the play was. It was just look at the field. That's all I can say. Just look and see what's going on.
All right. Are you doing predictions now?
I mean,
why not?
I don't even want to do the order this time. So obviously the suspense of Aaron's pick. We're all waiting on bated breath to hear what you have to say this week.
Okay. You should. It's I take a lot of thought and consideration into these picks every week. I have to, because I know that I'm going to get measured by Mr. Asbury in his articles each week and what my record is, which has obviously been the worst of the three of us throughout. I don't really give a shit. So we can do it whenever y'all are ready. I mean, who went first last time? Gary? I think it was Gary.
Yeah, I went first last time.
So, Mike, I think it should be you.
With the way our offense has played the first two games, I do not have the confidence to pick us against an ACC team. It is what it is. I want them to prove me wrong. I want them to continue being undefeated at home against Virginia Tech. That would make me the happiest person in the world. I think I've picked them each time we played them at home. That's the tough part here. But the offense is I don't have the confidence right now. And with Grant, who knows what's going to happen with Grant. It's going to be really tough to just pick Old Dominion here. So I guess I would take Virginia Tech to win, but I'll take that 14 points for ODU.
All right. I'm kind of on the fence here as well because weird shit happens in this game, as we know. It's always been weird stuff. It always happens. It's like a voodoo on Virginia Tech when they come down to 757. But I don't know. I'm with you, Mike. Nothing about this offense instills confidence in thinking that we can win. Like, if they were just a below average offense, we'd be fine. But I don't know. I'm thinking more along the lines of like 34-13 Tech. I don't think we're going to cover. But who knows? If Grant can't go, maybe we get coming out game with someone else is on the bench, whether that's Moorhead, Joseph, Quinn, somebody. Just change things up. But I kind of got to you put my brain into this, and someone said 34-13 Tech.
I guess it's my turn now. So
You're waiting for it.
I have actually been thinking about this a lot today. And I get a lot of people that talk to me about these picks. And I know that you guys, shit, you can't see that. You guys are expecting me to say that Ethan Sanchez is going to kick a 50-yard field goal to win this game. If Grant plays, that's what's going to happen. But I don't think Grant is going to play. I mean, the way that he was looking, I'm not a doctor, but I'm just going to say that. If he doesn't play, we're going to have a freshman quarterback who's going to score the winning points diving into the end zone. Don't know the score, but that's what I predict is going to happen. Go Monarchs, baby. 3-0 at home against Virginia Tech.
Threw us a changeup, man. I was actually not expecting that to come out of your mouth. But wow.
I do love the vision of a freshman quarterback coming out and having his breakout performance against Virginia Tech. We know Colton is a gunslinger, and gunslingers do some crazy stuff in big games. If that happens, that could be a ton of fun on Saturday.
Just curious, in the history of ODU Virginia Tech, has there been a situation where maybe a quarterback started the game and it was early in their career and it just didn't kind of work out the first two drives, and then some other relative unknown person came in at quarterback and may or may not have led us to victory against said team?
Gary, now you know where I was going with this, that if it, stranger things have happened. And as we talked with our friends at South Carolina about it, if you haven't seen it in a football game, it's likely to happen in an Old Dominion football game because this is where weird shit happens. Maybe that's a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
South
Pastor
Carolina.
LaRussa, bless him. He's in Chesapeake as a junior pastor, if you're interested.
Yeah. So, hey, yeah, if Blake, if you happen to be watching this or if someone shares it, maybe we need to get him out Friday night to the pep rally to help us get ready for this thing and share some good luck, some good vibes, all the things that made that victory so sweet.
I thought you were going in a different direction because he does still have a year of eligibility left.
Could you imagine? Would that be like Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out of the back and break the glass music, and all of a sudden, I mean, weirder stuff has happened.
Yeah, that and some 6'4" receivers would be in great shape. It's just funny. Pastor LaRussa condemned many Hokies back in 2016 or 17, whatever it was.
All right, fellas. Well, this is going to be my last pitch. Come out on Friday to Afterglow. We're going to have a lot of fun. Let's talk ODU football, drink some beer, listen to some good music, and just enjoy each other's company. And hang out with Hudson.
Yes.
Where else can you do all that in one place? Come to Afterglow. Go Monarchs.
Go Monarchs.
Go Monarchs. B-Tech.